You're watching Antidepressants with Nicole Soul, and this is one of my favorite parts of the show is when I join in with community and get all up in their business and share it with you guys, and today is no different. I'm so excited to introduce you guys to one of my good friends, a mental health advocate, an actress, a baddie, Brooke Johnson. Please give yourself a little introduction.
Hello.
Age, sex, location.
My name is Brooke Johnson. I'm originally from Anchorage, Alaska. I was Miss Alaska USA in 2018. I'm a national ambassador for NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And I'm an autist of many things.
I met Brooke a couple of months, maybe 2 years ago now? Maybe?
2 years?
I think we met like 2 years ago. It was divine on Facebook. We ended up talking and I felt so much better after our conversation. It felt like such a super safe space. And then eventually you were telling me about your experience taking antidepressants. I wanted to ask you about your journey of taking antidepressants and like, when did you feel like, okay, I need to do something different with my mental health?
I started having issues with mental health around the age of like 13 when I was in middle school. I had like no energy to go to school. I had no interest in any of my activities. My energy was just so low. And they say that if these sad periods last more than 2 weeks, then it could possibly be depression. And so I was that weird kid who looked everything up. I was always a very self-aware kid. I still very much am. So I knew I was depressed. But growing up in a Black family where it's very much like, you know, you're too blessed to be stressed, and you know, like there's nothing wrong with you, like there's nothing like wrong with you, like you're fine, you're just like going through something. It's kid hormones or whatever. I would print out these tests I would take of like the level of depression, and I would give them to this counselor at my school, and they would kind of just laugh it off. It was a bit frustrating. Wow. So I didn't get any help through middle school. And then college, my first year of college, I went to Pace University in New York City, and they had a free clinic for students, which was great. And I was able to go into there, start therapy, and that was when the therapist finally was like, oh yeah, absolutely, you're dealing with depression, you're dealing with anxiety. And just being in New York in itself, just by myself, was really hard.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So I fly back to Alaska for summer break, and I go to my pediatrician because I was still trying to go up in there, even though I was like 18. But I went to my pediatrician.
Was it the parental insurance?
I don't know. I was too lazy to look for. I had to like look for an adult doctor. That was weird.
Okay, gotcha.
That was a weird transition. So I had the same doctor my whole life, and I think it was like Dr. Shannon or something. And then when I turned 19, they were finally like, okay, you have to go get an adult doctor. Okay. Anyways, I went to her. I told her what the therapist said. And she was like, awesome, we will put you on some antidepressants to help stabilize your mood, basically.
Gotcha.
I said, great. And one of...
Great. So no hesitation.
No hesitation.
Okay.
I said, oh, this can fix me? Because up until that point, I didn't know that there was like drugs out there to fix this, if that makes sense. I knew like people took drugs to like deal with mental health, but it was always like the TV version of someone having anxiety and then popping a pill and like taking Xanax. It was like always dramatic, but it's like, oh yeah, like, and then learning about it, a lot of antidepressants actually don't kick in for 2 weeks or so. So the dramatization of like a lot of meds on like TV and film are kind of inaccurate, because the only ones that have that that effect quickly are like,
it's crack cocaine.
Antidepressants.
I'm joking. Sorry.
are like anti-anxiety meds.
Okay, got you.
So like your Ativans, your Xanaxes, those types of things are quick acting that actually do help you relax. But things like Zoloft, Lexapro, Remeron, Wellbutrin, all those things, they take Prozac. They take like 2 weeks to actually kick in your body. So even though she gave me...
what does that feel like? I'm just curious.
I'll get to that.
Okay, got you.
So she gives me the prescription. I said, great. She's like, take it for 2 weeks. Try to take it in the morning because the way it chemically works is what is supposed to happen is when you have depression chemically, you create less serotonin in your brain than other people. So being happy naturally is just that much harder already being depressed. So antidepressants basically go into your brain to open up the neurotransmitters in your brain more often, so that serotonin and dopamine can be created.
Got you.
So it just pumps more of it.
Got you.
But this process takes a little bit. And so one symptom of my anxiety that I do experience is like extreme physical anxiety. So I get like butterflies in my stomach, I get sick, I get lightheaded, I feel queasy on top of being anxious. I don't eat. Like I have like a lot of physical frustrations when it comes to my anxiety that was like really holding me back because I would just become paralyzed So there was one time, so what would happen is like, let's say if you and me got into an argument and like you texted me like, "Okay," or you know, like something like passive aggressive, and I would be like ruminating on it. My body would just like shut down, and I'd be like, "Oh my God, are they mad at me?" And I would just spiral and spiral and spiral. What happened was that I like was getting in an argument with my boyfriend at the time, I think, and I was at work, and he was saying some really passive aggressive stuff to me, and like maybe like a month had went by, and I was having the conversation with him, and all of a sudden I realized I was like, I'm not having a physical reaction to this conversation.
Oh. So that was the antidepressant that was allowing your body to regulate?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I don't feel like crying. I don't have butterflies in my stomach. I don't feel sick. I'm very frustrated at whatever texting conversation we're having, but I'm like,
got you.
I'm like, okay, it'll be fine. And I was like, oh, wow, it works.
Got you.
So the unfortunate thing about any medication is sometimes your brain gets used to it, and sometimes you have to.
That's my next question. One of the main reservations that a lot of us who aren't medicated outside of cannabis is that the fear of becoming dependent. Like I'm personally, like I'm really afraid that I'm just gonna love it and need it forever. So I wanted you to talk about your experience with whether or not you go off, if you feel stabilized, and then like go back on once you feel like you're in like crisis mode.
Well, I feel like it's if you have diabetes and you feel better taking your insulin, why would you not take it?
Okay.
You know what I mean? I took it because I knew it was going to make me feel better.
Gotcha.
I didn't take it at feeling as if I'm stuck doing this.
Gotcha.
It's like...
It's all mental? Okay.
It's all mental. So I never felt like, oh my gosh, like I have to keep taking this. Or like felt like I was trapped or that I was dependent. It was like, oh no, this is helping. This is helping me not spiral.
Gotcha. Because
I also deal with a lot of suicidal ideation, and like let me tell you, like it's not fun. And so when I had that medication, I was like, oh yay, like I finally don't feel like jumping off a bridge.
Gotcha.
The ups and downs with meds is your brain will get used to it. So sometimes you have to up your doses, change your doses.
Gotcha.
And that's why having a really good psychiatrist, if those you don't know, therapists basically will kind of guide you through what exactly you're feeling and what exactly these symptoms are, and they can diagnose you. Psychiatrists can also diagnose you, but there's no talk therapy.
Yeah.
There's no... But they check on you, and they really are just trying to check your stability. Like I have a psychiatrist now. Whenever I see her, our appointments are like 5 minutes. Okay. She asks, are you still taking the dose of like how you're supposed to take it? How are you feeling? Has there anything that's happened in your life? What's your mood like? Are you okay? And then they move from there. If you know, if you were to say like, oh, like, you know, it's giving me this symptom, or I don't like that, or I like this, then they'll try and move it. Like
gotcha.
Their job is more of the chemistry of your brain than it is your emotions.
Got you.
So it's kind of like a double whammy, but it's actually fascinating.
Sometimes I feel like, am I depressed really? Or is it the circumstances that I'm living with in this industry as far as being really uncertain and quiet recession and things like that? Do you ever feel like you're trying to figure out, okay, like, is this depression or is this societal pressures?
Oh, 100%. I think the times that I've been the most depressed is when I feel like I haven't had any resources or if I feel stuck. Those are the times I feel the most depressed. And the times where I am either like thriving artistically or thriving financially is when I've had moments of like I get like a really big check from a commercial or something like that, and finally I can kind of coast.
Yeah.
All your bills are paid. Like, I remember one time something annoying had happened during one of these periods where like I was thriving. I was like, meh, I'll figure it out, because I was like, I'm
Money
fine.
does equal happiness, respectfully.
It really fucking does.
Truly, poverty is linked to depression and anxiety. Like, when you don't know how you're going to survive, naturally your body goes into fight or flight mode. And you can't, like, one frustrating thing that like the past few months that I've been dealing with is trying to get my cortisol levels down, because during the beginning of the year with all the fires, my job had to shut down unexpectedly. My job just shut down again. But it was like I couldn't breathe. I couldn't take a break. Yeah. And it was like your body in a high stress situation is just not healthy. Yeah. It's not healthy for like your organs. It's not healthy for your metabolism. It's not healthy for your sleep. And then it just keeps going and going, spiraling. And that's how a lot of people in our community deal with diabetes, deal with high cholesterol, deal with high blood pressure. Like, it's not, it is killing you slowly. Yeah. And so knowing that, it's very stressful, because it's like, I don't want this to be a thing. I need some more resources to help me out. I've been on probably 5 antidepressants. Okay. Over the course of since you first started when you moved to New York? Yeah. Okay. So I was on Zoloft, and then I moved at one point and then went on Lexapro, but like you have to listen to your body. So at one point I felt like the Zoloft wasn't working anymore, and then I like went off of the medication. And then I moved again to the Midwest, got another doctor, and then I think I was on Lexapro for maybe like 2 years, and then that stopped working. I was just like, What does it mean for it to stop working? Like, do your physical sensations return to your body the way you mentioned earlier? Yeah. Okay. So it would come in like small things. It would just be like, I would start feeling sluggish again, or I'd feel, not at how I felt when I first started them. So sometimes I would go on and off of them, which don't do that. That is not what you're supposed to do. I did it because that's reckless. Don't do that. Okay. Because what happens is then the chemicals going into your brain are now like getting all screwed up. And then you're susceptible to, having like a mental breakdown, basically. Gotcha. So that's why they say, like, if you start your medication, don't just stop it. Like, you're supposed to wean yourself off of it. Gotcha. But I didn't do that. So I would just stop it. Sometimes this was the point in time where I was starting to get resentful for having depression, because I would still get very, very frustrated with it. Lo and behold, though, it wasn't actually the depression that I was upset with, but we'll get there in a second. But I was getting frustrated, so I would stop going off of medication. I'd go on, go off, and then for a while I went off of it, and for a while I didn't have any. I didn't have a psychiatrist or anything because I couldn't find one through my insurance. It wasn't until I had a little mentee bee and ended up in an intensive outpatient, which saved my life. Loved it. Shout out to Culver City Hospital. Listen, they're great. Thank God my insurance covered it. And I was there for like 2 months, and it's 3 days a week, and you go from like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And it's like literally intense, like group therapy. Okay, gotcha. 3 times a week. You get lunch and everything. Okay. Yeah, and it's at a hospital. Gotcha. Anywho, so they had a psychiatrist there that is supposed to evaluate you and kind of, because the whole reason to be there is to stabilize, because you're like going off the deep end. But it's like, let's stabilize you to help you get back on your feet. And I was able to see a psychiatrist there, and the funny thing he said to me, like I was sitting down, they're doing the evaluation, like they're checking your heart rate and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, are you like stressed or anxious right now? And I was like, no, sitting just like this. And he was checking my heart rate. My heart rate is at like 102. Is that a lot? It's high. Okay. It's like. Gotcha. It's heart attack vibe. Yeah. Yeah. And he's like, are you okay? And I was like, this is just how I am all the time. And he's like, oh, really? Like sitting down, your heart rate is this high all the time? And I was like, like this is just me. It sucks. I hate it because I can't do anything about it. Yeah. It's just like your heart is just beating, sitting down. Yeah. Like for what? So I was able to go through him.
he also worked in Culver City, and he was like, yeah, after this, just come to my office. We'll figure it out with your insurance. So I was able to go to him, and I went back on Zoloft again. This time, which, because your body's different, your body changes, your chemicals in your brain change. And this time when I went on it, it worked. It was great. This was also in the middle of the pandemic was starting. And I was having, after I started it, I was having trouble sleeping because what Zoloft does is it stimulates your brain, so it keeps you awake. So sometimes it depends on the time of the day that you take it. If you take it at night, it's going to keep you awake.
Gotcha.
It was also giving me, for the first time, because when I took it previously, I didn't have this symptom, but it was giving me extremely vivid dreams, like night sweat dreams. Like, I mean, bad things were happening in these dreams. I mean, vivid. I couldn't get up, and then like I would just like bed sweat every single night. So this would go on for like 6 months, and finally I was like, I can't sleep. And he's like, well, are you depressed? And I said, no, but like my quality of life isn't great.
Gotcha.
And he's like, well, I'm fearful of taking you off of it because I don't want you to be depressed, because he knows, you know, I could go to an IOP real quick. So he's like, well, I don't want to do that. So instead, he put me on some sleeping pills, which was not great either, but for the beginning of that time period, it was really helpful. Knocked right out, went to sleep.
There are side effects.
There are side effects.
Can you just list us 5 side effects that we should be mindful of if
change in appetite. Some antidepressants make you more hungry, and some make you less hungry. Some you can gain weight. Some antidepressants can give you nightmares. Some antidepressants can make you more depressed, depending on what it is. And Zoloft specifically, I think you get brain zaps sometimes.
Meaning?
I don't know how to explain brain zaps.
Is it like brain fog?
No, it's literally like a zap of like electricity that kind of goes through your brain. And it would always happen if I like forgot to take my medication for a couple days. I get these brain zaps. I can't even explain them because it's a weird phenomenon. But yeah, but that kind of went to show that maybe wasn't the right medication for me at the time. But he was weighing the pros and cons. He's like, you're not depressed, so it's working. And I wasn't actually. I really wasn't depressed.
You just couldn't sleep.
I couldn't freaking sleep.
Gotcha.
And so then like not being able to sleep was making my quality of life bad. So eventually, I had another little Menti B.
Menti B is mental breakdown, y'all.
I had another little Menti B, and actually ended up in the hospital and in a inpatient.
Gotcha. I think I remember.
Yes.
Brooke asked me to watch her dog, and I was like, girl, I can't even do it.
Was that then?
I think so.
Girl,
I was really not a dog girly.
I was so out of it. I don't even know.
Love you.
No, wait, I didn't meet you yet.
Oh, really?
That was maybe another time.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
That was probably another time.
Gotcha.
But
But thanks for entrusting me with your boo.
It's okay.
I feel like I would now, but
yeah. It's good to know. But anywho, so I had a little Menti B, and I went off on all of my medication because I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Went back to the psychiatrist and oh my God, that conversation. I was like, hey. He's like, how are you doing? And I was like, I just got back from the hospital.
Done.
And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, a little 3-day thing. And he was so upset. Not at me, but he was like, oh no, like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
I was like, I had a bad day.
And it's just as simple as that some days. Like, I had a bad day.
Something just snapped. I just was trying to take myself out. So he was like, okay, cool. We're not going to take that medication anymore. So he put me on Remeron, which is another med I hadn't used. I used that for a couple days. It changed my appetite. It was like making me really hungry, which I hated. So I was like, nope, don't want to do this one. Then he put me on Wellbutrin.
I've seen that commercial.
That didn't do anything for me. Then I went on Prozac. Prozac worked for like 2 weeks. Oh my gosh. All of a sudden, one day I woke up with like energy and I felt better. And I was like, oh, I think it's working. And then it just kind of stopped. And I kind of basically was like, I think my therapist was like, you know, I think your body has been going through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you just need to just take a break.
Got you.
And I was like, fair. So I told him.
So you didn't wean off?
No, I just stopped taking it. Which again, don't do that. But I did. I told my psychiatrist though, I was like, I'm just gonna stop taking like antidepressants. I was also prescribed anti-anxiety meds. So I have Ativan. Mm-hmm. So whenever I have like super anxiety, I take that and that acts quickly.
Gotcha.
So I went off antidepressants and I just had my anti-anxiety meds. Okay. And I was like, okay, cool.
And do you take that like in the morning or like whenever you feel an anxious moment?
As needed.
Oh, okay. I like an as need.
I love an as needed.
Okay, I like an as need.
Because I don't need it all the time.
Right.
I really don't.
Okay.
But sometimes if like stressful things are happening and I can't sleep or like I can't relax, I can't calm down.
Got you.
Oh, I'm getting it.
Okay.
And that's great. And what's crazy is I'll go to like a doctor or like have a checkup or something and the doctor's asking like, oh, what medications are you on? And I'll list things and I'll be like, oh, Ativan. And like almost every single one of them is like, that's really strong. I'm like, yeah, that's the point.
Do you feel like a little, I don't want to say offended, but like do you feel unsettled?
It's annoying because it's like people look at you and they think like, it's like there's a reason why these meds are around because they work, because they are very strong. And yes, there are a lot of meds that are highly addictive. Ativan is one of them, but I don't have an addiction to it. So it's like when they say stuff like that, it's just like, excuse me, you don't know me.
Got you.
You don't know me. And actually, this is the one thing that's ever saved my life when it comes to anxiety attacks.
Gotcha.
Like having a panic attack and freeballing it is not it.
Wow. Because I feel like I've had them and like
oh my God, it's awful.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I guess I'll just do a lot of deep breathing now.
I get anxiety if I forget my medication at home or something. Like I went on a trip once and like I use it as like okay, cool. If I end up in a stressful situation, if I'm away from home, if I can't sleep or whatever, I always know I have it to just like relax me, get it together. One time I went on a trip and I forgot it and I was like, oh no. And I freeballed my anxiety for like 5 days.
Okay. So what did you do? It was the worst thing. I was going to say, did you do anything different?
No,
like walks or working out?
I mean, no.
Okay.
Oh my God, it was awful.
Got you.
I just got through it. And
wow.
I was like, don't ever forget your meds at home ever again.
Wow.
You idiot. It's so dumb.
It happens.
But it happens. But anyway, so antidepressants. Yeah, I think we have to make sure we like think of it as a tool.
Gotcha.
The pin I had earlier when I was saying I was frustrated with being depressed. Well, I just got diagnosed with ADHD or ADD.
I think I have that.
My psychiatrist said ADD, but technically that's not in the DSM anymore. It's actually ADHD, and there's like a couple different versions of it. So there's like people who experience ADHD who like, you know, fidget in their chair. They can't sit down. They don't like waiting in lines. There's like a lot of impatientness. And there's some people that have ADHD where there's like executive dysfunction happening. You can't get up and do the things you need to do.
Oh, wait. So I feel like mine's a bit backwards. It's like
there's a mix. There's
I'm
one version.
Going.
There's one version, there's a mix.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's actually called a burnout.
Oh.
I didn't know what that was.
That's why I was so happy when the pandemic happened, honestly, because I was like, I'm doing a lot right now and I need a break. So when they announced that the world was shutting down, I was like, yes, I can rest. And that's what I did. Yeah. It was lovely.
I was like,
we need another one, honestly.
I was like that for like a month. and then it wasn't fun because I was just lonely.
Oh, got you.
But yeah, so I would think of it like as a tool because there could be a lot of things going on, and I have a part like there's parts of me having ADHD that trigger the depression. Okay. So like my executive dysfunction, like if I feel like I can't get up and do things, I will start to spiral. If I accidentally burn myself out, like I feel like I also almost got diagnosed bipolar once because I had this period of hypomania, which wasn't full manic. There's like hypomanic and there's full manic. And full manic is when people they get really reckless Like they can spend a lot of money. They might, become very promiscuous. They might do things that they don't necessarily quite remember later. Mm-hmm. So hypomania is just like a little lesser version of that. And I went through that for like a week or so, but it just kind of felt like I just had like a lot of energy, but then I like just crashed.
Gotcha.
And so my psychiatrist later said, like, just because you have had a hypomanic episode doesn't mean you have bipolar disorder.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I've gone through periods where I will be like super productive, super intense for like a week or two, and then just crash.
Gotcha.
For like a month.
I have a question.
And that's not healthy.
So you have your antidepressants in your arsenal of mental health toolkit. What else is in there?
I have, after getting diagnosed with ADHD, I'm on a stimulant now, so I'm on Adderall, which has literally changed my life.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. One of the things, so like I had said, like there's like a lower level of like kind of dopamine or just energy within my own body. Mm-hmm. So me waking up in the morning, probably like most of the year, is just like kind of hard for me. And then like to get me going to start doing things is really hard for me. What stimulants do is it kind of gives your brain like a boost to just start doing stuff, but you have to do it at really specific doses because it shouldn't feel like a roller coaster. It should feel just like a little push. Okay. And so when I first got on Adderall, I would take it in the morning right when I wake up. I would go back to bed, sit there for like 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden, I'd be like, I'm gonna go do things today.
Here.
Like my Adderall kicked in like, I think right when I got here.
Oh, praise God.
Yeah, I'm happy to be alive.
Love that.
It's crazy.
Okay, what
So
else?
I have that.
Okay.
I have Ativan, and I take that as needed. So if I'm having, periods of like high anxiety or can't sleep because of my anxiety, I'll take that. I have like,
What about non-prescription stuff? Like just a friend or your comfort movie? Or...
Honestly, when I'm not doing well, I sleep a lot.
Gotcha.
That's been the only thing that I feel like resets me. Like, I'm not one to, like, I think I've been a little better at being active because it does make me feel better. But my initial reaction to me having a moment is to just turn my brain off. Yeah. So I'll go take a nap.
Okay.
I'll take a nap. I'll sleep all day, and then kind of just like hope to just get out of it.
Gotcha.
And like, watch TV or something. But I'm not really like, I'm feeling really depressed, let me go for a run. That's not really the way I do things. I'm more like, I kind of enclose within myself. And then once I like feel better, then I'll come out of it.
Gotcha.
But of course, like I feel when I've been a little recluse a little too long, I try to make sure I start to talk to people or engage or be like, hey, you want to hang out? You want to watch a movie? You want to go for a walk? Because I can feel myself not resting. Now I'm a little depressed.
Right.
So I have to catch myself when I'm laying in bed. Like, are you actually resting and recharging, or are you now sad? Yeah. Because you feel lonely now. So I'll like just start texting people randomly. And I like think about, I'm like, do people think I just text them out of the blue? I'd be doing that to you all the time.
I know.
I'd be
I
like,
don't mind though.
What are you doing? Because I literally will be like, I need to talk to people. What are my friends doing today? Hey, are you busy?
We're in a very isolated society, and I think the pandemic really heightened that. And so it's like we really have to make legit effort to reach out to friends and make sure that we're getting engaged in our community. Yeah. So thanks for texting me, because when you do, I'm literally usually like, I do need to go for a walk.
Yeah. And then I feel recharged and it feels nice just to like just shoot the shit and walk, talk about whatever's going on.
I mentioned earlier, my therapist was like, what's bringing you joy right now? And I was like, bitch, I don't know. Like, what? And then I thought about it, and I was like, my friends coming over, having dinner parties, just like,
I love
being
your dinner
around
parties.
my friends has been the thing that's been just such a hug right now. Because I'm like, I don't particularly feel like expressing myself in any other way. But that is definitely like a way of expression, I feel like.
And I am thankful for your dinner parties because it feels always like a community thing, which is really hard. I think maybe not for people who are from here, but like transplants, finding community in LA is really hard.
It is. Like, you're
It's
away from
hard.
everything you've ever known, all of your friends who you've grown up with, like all of that, and like just to move somewhere for a dream that nobody can see. It's tricky, bitch.
It's
so yeah,
awful.
So yeah, like just holding space as much as possible at my house has been the thing that's been like, I love having the people over. So
yeah, it's nice. I can't wait till like one day, like the Super Bowl was yesterday, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait till I have like a little family and like have like a little Super Bowl party.
Yeah, in a backyard.
In a backyard, and make like a cheese dip and all that kind of stuff.
Catering.
Like that would be so fun. But like I don't have that. So you just do what you got to do for now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Brooke has a big enough apartment to host. She just don't.
I don't know what it is. I feel like I forget to invite people to my house.
Do Valentine's Day.
I could. Okay, there's a couple different things here. So I have a fear of rejection.
Yeah.
A deep fear of rejection.
Yeah.
But like I'm working on it. That's why like I haven't celebrated my birthday with like multiple people
Did you do this year?
I did because I'm working on myself. Because the moment, okay, so where this stemmed from, like it was like 1 year when I was like a teenager, or maybe I was turning 19. I don't know. Either way, I was having a birthday party, and up until this point, I didn't have like an intense fear of rejection because when you're in high school and you invite your friends to Red Robin, most of them come because there ain't nothing else to do, you know? So it's like I was always in a community. I was in dance. I was in theater. So like I didn't have like didn't feel like people wouldn't come hang out with me. But as I would get older and like I invited people to my birthday, and like people just started acting weird and all this stuff, and like that kind of scarred me for a long time to where I didn't feel like I like deserved like the celebration because then I would see like those friends who like wouldn't show up for me. They would plan something too, but people would show up for them so enthusiastically. And I'd be like, dang, like, is it so hard for people to show up enthusiastically for me? But that was just me internalizing bad friends.
Got you.
That was just bad friendships I had at that time that don't reflect my actual friends. Yeah. And I had to sit with myself. It's like, Brooke, no, you have good friends. Like, why are you thinking they wouldn't show up for you? So I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to have a birthday gathering.
Birthday season.
Yay. And so had a birthday gathering. I had so much fun. But like I was legitimately just like so happy that people came, like at the base level. I was like, oh, thank God. And then people had fun. So I think I forget to invite people to my house because I'm just like, oh, people probably won't come. Gotcha. That's like my immediate.
Gotcha.
And then I'm like, oh, because I think of it as like a sitcom. I'm like, why don't people just invite themselves over to my house? And I'm like, Brooke, that doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But I think because I do that to my friends. I did that to my friends growing up. So I like.
Yeah, I feel like because we all live near each other. Yeah. I feel like.
So like my best friend from one of them in Anchorage, that like I knew the code to their house, so I would just go to their house. Yeah. So I kind of expect sometimes the same to me, and then I'm like, no, but like
not an LA expectation. Not at all. Yeah.
But maybe I should.
Maybe do Valentine's Day.
Okay.
It's cute.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm coming. Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on and chatting.
Oh, I really appreciate you for having me. I'm so proud of you.
Dropping all of your tidbits, all your tips and tricks, all of your experience navigating antidepressants, the actual medicine. Thank you. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for
Do you have any parting words or where we can find you on the internet?
You can find me on Instagram at @TheBrookeJ. And hopefully in a TV show or movie near you.
Period.